I'm joined now by CBS News contributor Kyle Kondik. He is the managing editor of Sabato's Crystal Ball at the University of Virginia Center for Politics. So, Kyle, I was talking to Anthony about redistricting. You've recently written about what the net effect of redistricting so far this year is going to be. Share it with my audience.
Yeah, so if you assume that Alabama, Louisiana, and South Carolina will all redraw to help Republicans win one additional seat in those states, that's not final yet, but that's sort of what's in process. You get a Republican gain of about 7 seats, and then there's like a range around it. I have it as 6 to 10 Republican seat gains. You know, one of the things you got to remember here is that you got to have the election first to figure out what the effect of redistricting was. And so I could say, oh, well, this district should go here and blah, blah, blah. Well, you got to have the election to figure it out. But that's the sort of estimate right now. So that's good for Republicans, but it's not enough if it continues to be kind of a wave-style political environment.
Right. And with these prognostications, you really do have to proceed with caution because the atmospherics, quite separate from redistricting and new congressional district lines, keep stacking up. Favorable Democrats, unfavorable Republicans.
Yeah, that's right. So Texas is a good example here of what we're talking about. So Republicans redrew that state to allow them to win 5 new districts.
In theory.
In theory. One of them, Henry Cuellar in South Texas, conservative Democrat, we actually think he's favored to hold on to his seat. Vicente Gonzalez, another South Texas Democrat, that's a toss-up race. And then, maybe at least one of the other ones is not a 100% slam dunk for Republicans. So a gain of 5 could instead maybe be 4, 3, maybe even 2 if things, go really poorly.
Right. Because one of the things that the professionals who draw district lines, and politicians are professionals at this, look at is a sort of partisan voting index. And if you redraw lines and go from 10 favorable to your party to 4 or 5 or maybe 5.5, you are taking a calculated risk that you can withstand an atmosphere that's negative and still win a seat.
Right. And the key thing for Republicans drawing lines, this is less so for Democrats like in California, is that as a Republican, at least you should assume that the map is going to be stress tested in the context of 2026 because, it's probably going to be a Democratic year to some extent, maybe a 2018 or 2006 style Democratic wave. And so when you're drawing the lines, it's like, well, yeah, Trump won the district in 2024. Yeah, but this is not 2024 anymore. And nor is it 2028. It's 2026. And you got to account for that.
And do you have similar analysis about Florida? Because when Florida was redrawing a map very quickly, the governor, Ron DeSantis, drew it himself, handed it to the legislature, and within a week it was approved. I heard some Republicans and quite a few Democrats in Florida say, wait a minute, this is a competitive map, and Republicans may come to regret some of these decisions.
Yeah, so that's designed to allow Republicans to win up to 4 new seats in Florida. One of those state districts we have is a toss-up, a new seat in South Florida. Where it's not quite clear who's going to run there yet. And then a few of the other ones are, Republican-leaning, but not like safe Republican. And there are a few other seats that, were changed in such a way that, you go from like Trump by 35 to Trump by 15. I think Republicans will still hold those, but, again, you are spreading yourself a little thin. The other thing about Florida is that they do have anti-gerrymandering language in their state constitution.
It's still got to clear that hurdle legally.
Right, and the court there, it's a bunch. The court is mostly Ron DeSantis appointees on the Florida Supreme Court, and so they may just basically agree with the legal arguments that the DeSantis administration is making, but maybe they won't. So that's a moving piece here too.
And as we learned in the Commonwealth of Virginia, even if voters approve, if that is procedurally brought to the voters in an unconstitutional way, the state Supreme Court can step in and invalidate, which is exactly what happened in Virginia.
Yeah, you got to be open-minded about the possibilities here. One difference is that the Supreme Court of Virginia, I don't think you would describe that court as being like allied to Democrats in a way that you might say about the Florida court being, really clearly Republican-leaning. But again, I think you can make a pretty reasonable argument it's a Republican gerrymander. Whether that court would ultimately disagree or a lower court or would agree or a lower court would, open question.
Kyle Kondik, great to have you on board. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
And a quick programming note, I will be hosting special primary night coverage beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on CBS News 24/7.